If you want closure from a recent relationship that's come to an end, then please stay tuned because I got a message for you. Hi, my name's Kirby. I'm a specialist in trauma and attachment theory, and I shoot these videos every day to help people through their darkest moments of life and help them shoot for the stars and a life of joy and happiness and freedom. And when we get all wrapped up in an intense relationship, sometimes, most of the time, those relationships come to an end. And when they come to an end, there's this concept out there that, like, I need closure. I need to go get closure. I need to find a way to have closure on this relationship. I can't have it be open. How many times have you heard someone say that? How many times have you said it? I need closure. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. And I've got some ideas that might help. These ideas might be challenging for some. I apologize for that, but hey, this is the way it works. Sometimes the reality of the situation is difficult to process. Okay, so closure is this idea that there's some kind of emotionally unresolved business. Unresolved business in any way, really. It's like, might be emotional, it might be practical. We're not really so much talking about the practical ones, closure and a practical agreement. It's like I gave you the stuff we signed up for on the contract, and you gave me the stuff that you signed up for on the contract. We're done. Close it up. We can move on with life. Closure in a romantic sense usually has some aspect of that, but it's on the emotional side. It's like, I don't feel like this is done, and I want it to feel done. I want to feel like I can move on from this. I need something before I can move on. And that's where the rub happens. And so the way that most people go seeking closure is it's like they want to reach out. They want the other person to say something or do something or admit something. That we see that often. Those are like kind of the worst scenarios. And then there's other times, kind of like next worst scenarios, is the times where it's like, no, I want to go and I want to get this off my chest. I want to feel like I've said this thing and I've told them how much they hurt me, or I told them how much of a jerk they are, or, that those things you did really hurt me. I guess I'm repeating myself there because the people that do this are so often repeating themselves. So, let's look at what's going on there. The key bit that most people miss is that the whole concept of I need closure or I want closure is arising inside me, not the other person. It's arising inside me as a compulsion or an anxiety. That is, I don't like the situation that's here. I'm not at peace with the reality that's here in front of me. And I don't like that. I've got uncertainty. I've got anger. I've got hurt and pain. And there's this anxiety that comes up inside, basically saying, I don't like the reality that I'm currently in. I want it to be different. And then there's this belief that floats around in there that basically says, if you can go do this thing, tell them how you feel, get them to admit that they're wrong, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or sometimes, just go destroy property. Don't do that. The belief is that if I can go do that, then I'm going to feel better. And that belief is false. Sure, for some people, I can already see the comments and hear the people saying it. For some people, they go break the window or get their thing off their chest and they're like, yeah, I really do feel better. Great, cool. But at what expense? And what's actually going on there? Is this actually helping you move forward in your life to a greater state of happiness, joy, grounded positivity? Or was this just a brief episode of injecting my ego with some kind of righteous superiority so that I can feel like I'm the good one here and they're the bad one? Yeah, that question needs to be asked. So The desire for closure is coming from an internal anxiety and discomfort that I have, that I don't like the reality that I'm in. What is it about the reality that I don't like? Let's ask that question. Because of course we've got the one where it's just like, oh, they just broke up with me. I don't like feeling rejected. I don't like feeling dismissed. I don't like feeling like they're prioritizing something else, or I thought we had an agreement and they're violating the agreement. Okay, let's dig into those. I don't like feeling rejected. Why? People reject stuff all the time. I don't like this breakfast cereal. I don't like that coffee. I don't like this kind of Asian food, like whatever. People reject stuff all the time. We don't care. But if that person is rejecting me, suddenly I care. Most people I've spoken with would say, oh, that's a reasonable response. Yeah, but there's a caveat here. And I found that understanding and really getting in touch with what's under the surface there is usually really helpful and informative and helps us kind of redirect our future. And what's going on there is that, like, if they're rejecting me, if they're prioritizing somebody else, if they lie to me, like, most of these concepts underneath the surface, it has to do with they're not valuing me. They would not reject me if they thought I was the best thing ever. They would not reject me if they thought I was valuable. People only reject things that they don't find valuable. And so what I'm hearing, what my nervous system, what my attachment system actually, what my attachment system is hearing is, you don't think I'm valuable. That's an insult. You're making a judgment on me. You are telling me I'm not valuable. You are telling me I'm disgusting. You're telling me I'm not desirable enough. And now I'm hurt by that, and I'm angry, which is actually just sadness. I feel this tremendous sadness and grief and resistance to the idea that I'm not valuable. Why? Because from the Jungian, Carl Jung point of view, I've got a shadow, basically a voice inside me that says I'm not valuable, that actually believes it. Because if there was no possible way in the world that I would ever believe that I'm not valuable, interesting, worthy, attractive, etc., a person would say that to me and just be like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you know, someone says, you're so short. You know, I'm over 2 meters, 6 feet in American standards. And someone's like, oh, you're so short. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you using the same words I am? Do you understand this language? Or, you know, you've got brown eyes. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, there's no emotional payload there, right? There's no emotional payload when someone tells you something that you fully, deeply believe is false. You're just like, I don't know what's going on, but you're obviously mistaken. And then I move on with my day, and I don't care about it, I don't think about it, and it does not haunt me. But if I actually believe deep down that I'm unattractive, undesirable, unlovable, and I'm desperately clawing and reaching to get attention and validation from people, and then that person tells me, or I hear them communicate that I'm undesirable, now I'm angry at them. If I didn't believe it, I would just F off and leave and just be like, you're crazy. But because I do believe it, then it lands. But because I do believe it, it lands. And it lands in a way that's very uncomfortable. And now I've got a person out there whose opinion I value that's now telling me I'm undesirable. Ugh, feels horrible. I'm just like, how dare you do that? You've broken my trust. You have gone from someone who's a trusted, intimate, close companion, advisor, best friend, and lover, and now you tell me this. Now you reinforce the negative message I have inside myself, the negative belief I have inside myself. You just amplified it by confirming it. And that feels horrible. And so my nervous system doesn't know what to do with that, because it's already believing that to be true. But yet facing that truth is incredibly uncomfortable. And so then what it does is it says, I need to demonize the other person. I need to devalue their opinion. I need to tear them down. And I need to get mastery over the situation. I need to get back to a place where I'm dominant and I have control. Because a big part of closure is about reasserting control and certainty, predictability. The reason you want to go there and get whatever off my chest is because in doing so, I'm taking action. And in taking action, I am now assertive and dominant. And I just want to stand here and I knock on the door. I've literally worked with people that have done this. And they want to go knock on the door and just be like, you're a jerk. You hurt me. You said all these things to me and I don't like you anymore. How dare you? We're done. F off. I'm ending the relationship, not you. Right? It's a grasp for assertive power. It's a grasp to feel like you're in control of your life, you're in control of your emotional state, and that you have power and agency. That's what it's about. It's an illusion. It is a distraction. It is a numbing agent. It is a thing we do to feel better because the alternative is facing a belief that I already have inside me that's super uncomfortable that I have been managing to suppress, numb out, or avoid for all this time. In fact, when we really look at it through the lens of attachment theory, what we usually find, and there's some ways you can test and assess for this. Of course, it's kind of fuzzy, but it's pretty consistent that what we'll find is that you chose that relationship to begin with because you were fighting this internal belief you have inside. I already feel like I'm unattractive, unworthy, unlovable. People will cheat on me, leave me, whatever, right? I already have all these negative beliefs, negative core beliefs. And the whole reason I was reaching for a relationship to begin with is to pull someone in and they could just stand right here and give me this stream of validating energy constantly. And if they're here and they choose me, especially if they choose to have sex with me, then I get to believe I'm good. I get to believe I'm worthy or attractive or valuable or whatever. So it's like I chose that relationship to begin with because I'm fighting my own shadow. I'm fighting my own demons. And in kind of that way, I was actually using that person as kind of a supply of validating energy. I mean, there's more than that, just that, but it is when people use these, all these terms around narcissistic abuse and stuff, they forget about that one. They forget about how much I chose you. I chose that avoidant. I chose that person, whatever. I chose them to be a supply of validating energy for me. And when they stop being a validating energy, they stop being a validating engine in my life, they suddenly become the villain. Because in taking away that validating energy, you're forcing me to face my uncomfortable beliefs inside. And I hate you for that. Right? Of course, this scenario I'm painting is not 100% of the time, but it's high 90s. In my experience, working with people, and of course, maybe I'm just working with a small subset of people, but in that sample size, it's been very, very consistently that this is the dynamic. You choose the person to get the validation and to actually feel good about yourself and feel good about your life. And then when they offer to take it away, or they do, it's like you've taken something from me and you've introduced uncertainty in my life and you've introduced self-doubt or a dynamic in which my self-doubt flourishes. And now I'm flailing in the uncertainty. I'm flailing in the chaos and unpredictable nature of life and the unpredictable nature of my own emotions. And I feel out of control. And that doesn't feel good. And I hate it. And I need to grab onto something and I need to get control back in my life. And the thing we grab onto is that guy's a villain. He did this on purpose and he's evil or damaged beyond measure or whatever, right? This dehumanizing, condescending criticism and judgment of the other is oftentimes what someone will grab onto just to get some kind of certainty as they're flailing. But that's not all closure, right? Sometimes closure is just like, I just want to reach a point where I can move on. Okay, why do you need anyone else to do that? Like every way that we can chop this up and approach this concept of closure, there's literally not a single one of them that absolutely requires another person. Whatever it is you're craving or wanting or desiring, and you believe that that will somehow give you the answer or give you the closure or give you the whatever it is you think you need that's going to make that anxiety and discomfort go down, you don't need another person for that. In fact, the act of trying to answer that with an external source, an external nexus of control, an external validation or whatever, keeps you in the loop of emotional volatility, insecure attachment style, unhealthy relationships, everything. It literally keeps you in the loop, trying to get whatever from that external nexus, that external person or thing, is the core, one of the core traits of insecure attachment. And it's one of the core traits that keeps us in the loop of misery and dissatisfaction in life and happiness, unhappiness and loneliness and everything else. That's it. And so allowing ourselves to keep doing that, sure, the breakup's hard. Sure, I need to grieve. Sure, this was my best friend and I'm so sad that she's out of my life. And like, grieve, do the grieving. But if I am stuck in a narrative that like the only way I can feel better about this, the only way I can find the certainty and control and agency that I desperately am craving right now, and the only way to do that is to go get it from another person. Sometimes I just need, I've been in situations where they're like, I don't need anything from you. I just need you to stand here and listen to me as I berate you over your behavior. Okay, well then you do need me. I've been on both sides of that one. I've done it. I've had it done to me. See, it's like even the thing where it's like, I just want you to hear my words. That is still an external nexus of control. Because in every situation like that, you can ask the question, what if you don't get it? Whatever this thing is, imagine your worst breakups and whatever the thing is that you think you need to achieve closure. Now let's just take a moment and imagine a world where that is impossible. That person isn't around anymore. Maybe they've passed away. Maybe they've had a concussion and they can't speak anymore. Or they are unconscious and they simply cannot interact with you anymore. Like whatever it is, it's not that hard to go into a visualization or mind and imagine a world where getting that thing that I think I need is absolutely, utterly impossible. Then what do you do? And this visualization, this exercise, reveals your truth. It reveals how utterly uncomfortable that idea is, and that's what you're avoiding. In that moment, you become the avoidant. You become a person that is avoiding difficult emotions and trying to get a fuel or supply of your soothing agent from an external person. So don't. It's as simple as that. If you think you need closure, the thing to do is spend a few moments to get an idea of like, what do I think I would need in order to have feelings of closure, be done with this relationship, and move on with my life? What would I need in order for that to happen? And now imagine a world where that's impossible. And just settle into it. Like go hog wild into that belief and that visualization. This is super effective at reprogramming the subconscious and a bunch of other stuff. I'll have more videos on that someday. Go super deep and super passionately intense into that visualization where it's like, this is utterly impossible. And then watch yourself and be like, do you play whack-a-mole? Do you say, oh, if that one's impossible, then maybe I'll do this one. If I can't get him to stand at the door and listen to all my complaints, maybe I can send him an email. No, that's just playing whack-a-mole. No. Whatever it is you think you need, imagine a world where it's impossible. And then observe the anxiety and discomfort and yucky feelings that are arising inside you at the face that you're never gonna get that thing. Ever. And now you're in a juicy spot. Now you're in the place of golden development. You are in touch with the nasty, uncomfortable feelings that you have been avoiding this whole time. And when you avoid those feelings and you distract and you numb out and you find ways of getting away from it, you stay stuck in the loop. You stay stuck in the same patterns. Your nervous system is literally optimizing for that outcome. It is saying, this is the way it worked in the past. We're still alive. We're still functioning. We're still getting needs met. Let's do the same thing in the future. You are literally training your subconscious, your inner child, your nervous system, whatever you want to call it. You're training it to maintain the same relationship patterns, the same misery, the same emotional responses. This is what we need to understand. That choice you make in how to get closure, I can only get it from another person. Okay, you choose that path. Guess what? Every single relationship in the future will be. You will feel this yucky discomfort until you can go get your supply from whoever it is. Until you can go get your supply from whoever that person is. If you want true closure now is in quotes, because it is, at this point, it is legitimately, at this point, we're going to define closure in this new metric, this new world, this new idea. We're going to define closure as my ability to move on from that relationship with low emotional payload and a sense of stable, emotional, calm, security, confidence, joy, all the good stuff. That's closure. That's the closure you really want. I want to be able to gracefully navigate the ending of a relationship, no matter how important it was to me. I need to be able to gracefully navigate that and stay in myself without deactivating, without activating, without being triggered, without needing someone to come hold me and prop me up when I'm weak. That's the kind of closure we want. And the only way to do that is to face the uncomfortable feelings. Figure out what that's all about. There's probably grief there. It's almost always grief. Will sometimes be disguised as anger. But yeah, anyway. So get to the point where you're just like, I think going up to that person, getting him to stand there, and I get to like tell him how I feel about this, blah, 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 right? Just imagine that's not possible. And then watch the state of your nervous system and be like, wow, that feels really horrible. I'll never be able to speak to him again. I'll never get an answer. I'll never be able to say my piece. I'll never be able to have him admit his fault or wrong or whatever. Yes, that's exactly what we want. So it's like those things are simply not possible. It's like, oh, I just have to sit here with this and then ask, get curious here. What's going on? Like, oh, I'm here and I can't say anything and I can't get him to admit it. And it's just, I just have to live in this world where he gets to walk away, start new relationships, live his happy life. And he just is going to keep believing that I was the bad guy here. No, that's a horrible feeling. Yes, it is. And that's the feeling we want to face. Because developing mastery over that feeling and that thought process will yield amazingly positive returns across all domains of your life in the future. It'll make you better at being connected with self. It'll make you better in romantic relationships. It'll make you a better parent. Everything. to just be okay with the idea that someone out there is thinking ill of you and I can't do anything about it. It's just like, wow, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. No. And I wish it were different than it is, but it's not. It's like, okay, I accept that that's the way it is, and these people are allowed to think that way, and I get to move on with my life. Do you see how much freedom that gives you? How much capacity? Because now all that energy that was spent trying to manage this toxic situation that's all now freed up and released. And now I have all that energy to invest in future things in my life that are going to bring me happiness and joy and better connections and better relationships and everything else. Right? Letting go of that. Just being like, yeah, there's people out there that hate me. There's people out there that think I'm whatever, a horrible person, done horrible things, I'm judgmental, or yeah, I've had some labels thrown at me that are just like laughably inaccurate, but it's just like, that's okay. That's what you believe. And when we reach that point where it's like, I'm okay with this, the energy that arises inside us to fight those fights is kind of dissipates. And it's just like, why even bother? They're just like, but they're wrong. This is unjust. Yeah, it's just sorry. Like, do you really want to spend another 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 years of your life in a state of nervous system stress over their thoughts, which you can't control? They're gonna keep hating you anyway. You're not gonna turn that around. You can't win that fight. Even if you can, why bother? If you want to believe negative things, go ahead. But I now get to choose how much proximity I want to, how close I want to be to this. So if you're believing negative things about me, okay. Wish you the best. Goodbye. And away I go without another thought. That is closure in the sense of I get to navigate the ends of these relationships without emotional charge, without dysregulation, without nervous system freaking out. I get to just walk away because I have faced my fears. I've faced the discomfort. I've allowed all those emotions to complete their kind of emotional cycle. I'm just like, okay, I'm solid. That's the closure we want. That's the closure we should seek. It's not about trying to get it from that other person. Make sense? I hope so. That's it for today's talk. I'm Kirby, specialist in trauma and attachment theory, and I hope this has been helpful for you. If you're interested in more, do the like, subscribe thing, leave a comment, share with friends. That would be awesome. That's really helpful. Get the message out. And I'm always available for group classes, one-on-one work, speaking gigs. And I seriously, legitimately love doing this. And I love helping people. And I honestly believe this is how we change the world. So I wish you the best. I believe in you.